Look at this fantastic thing, a Steinway, up close and personal with a Steinway. And the serial number of this one, 582115. Wow. But the interesting thing I've noticed when listening to the Steinway is that, and I'm sure a professional musician could actually give us the right terminology, but if you play two notes, there's a sort of wah-wah effect. But the decay is absolutely incredible. If I just do that again. That's nearly 20 seconds. 20 seconds later, and this amazing instrument is still resonating. But to do that in a way with clarity and continuity of tone, considering what we have here is metal, frame, and strings under enormous tension. I mean, hundreds of tons of tension on the strings, and wooden hammers and felt, and this enormous case, and I think the magical bit is the spruce soundboard, as I recall. But to get all of that into a homogeneous whole that not only makes the note the fundamental frequency, but then allows it to decay with such perfect evenness is really an astonishing technical achievement. I mean, the minute attention to detail and the tweaking of materials and adhesives and tensions and pressures, and I mean, it is quite incredible. And I must say that a career high point for me was when one of the executives at Steinway headquarters in New York bought a pair of the P3 loudspeakers to use on his desk. Moments like that are very precious. So I wish I knew what that sort of slight wah-wah effect, it must be about a third of a second or so when notes are played. Wow, 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 wow. It's amazing. It's just amazing. The brightness. I mean, how on earth, from an engineering point of view, did they achieve that? I mean, it's just incredible. It makes loudspeaker engineering look positively pathetic in comparison. It really does. We have so few variables to play with. I mean, we have the wood of the box itself, of course, and we have the mechanical properties of the drive units, but I mean, there are very few variables to play with, but here, I mean, just imagine you change the tension on one of those bolts. Come over and have a look at the actual construction of the thing. I mean, we've got these strings under enormous tension, and we've got all of these tuning bits, I don't know what you call them, nodules or whatever it is, but the bolts, which run actually not through the soundboard, because I think the secret of this is that the soundboard, this almost paper-thin construction, is not actually bolted down. I think that's the secret of all of this. But you imagine you change any little part of it, even possibly down to, repositioning these felts at the ends of the strings. I mean, this piece of felt here takes this zigzag pattern. I think it's felt, maybe not, but certainly, this is dressed in a particular way here, and this felt here has this peculiar sort of S shape to it. That's not random. That is the product of people actually studying and listening and adjusting and then communicating that knowledge to other colleagues so that they progressively over the 100 years or so that this instrument's been developing, They build on a knowledge foundation, and that actually is quite an interesting subject in itself, because one of the problems that we are going to face in audio manufacturing over the years is, how do we pass on tacit knowledge, because a lot of this is tacit knowledge learned on the job, to the next generation of youngsters who are not themselves particularly interested in the business of manufacturing. You know, we could actually lose the skills in many areas of manufacturing because we haven't developed as a society robust methods to communicate and pass on knowledge from one generation to another. It's all very superficial, you know, a video of making a piano or whatever. Well, there's a vast amount of difference between looking over someone's shoulder for 5 minutes in, you know, fast frame mode as to how a piano's come together, to actually doing that. And I'm on a mission in Harbeth, and have been for quite a few years now, to try and package up the knowledge the humble knowledge that I've acquired over the years, in a way that could actually allow development to continue for another generation of engineers. And that's quite a problem, as I say, across society. So it's wonderful to see 100 years of perfection in one, you know, physical thing. It's fantastic. So that's a bonus that's come out of today, this up close and personal with the Steinway. Wonderful. Oh, actually, the one other thing I nearly forgot to tell you. It was standing looking into pianist Peter Catin's home, much smaller Steinway, about 20 years ago, when I had reached a particular problem in the design of a loudspeaker at the time. And he played it to me, and I was just captivated by the brightness of tone and the lack of resonance. And he said, well, the secret is, of course, the spruce soundboard. And more than that even, that the soundboard was not actually bolted to, as I understood it, to these bolts that run around the edge of the iron frame. And I took that idea away, and that became a very successful loudspeaker for us, particularly in Japan. So there we are. That's my little story.